biblical reading this morning, I'd like to read to you from a book called Stumbling Toward Enlightenment by Jerry Larkin. Jerry Larkin is the founder of the Still Point Zen Buddhist Temple in Detroit. She's been a practicing Buddhist for 20 years, written 11 books, and he's just really a hoot when it comes to talking about her spiritual life. She's got a great sense of humor, a lot of sort of tongue-in-cheek examples about from her own life and her struggles with her own spirituality. So we're actually doing a different one of her books for the women's group starting in a couple of weeks if anybody's interested in that. So in Buddhist philosophy, there's what's called the Eightfold Path, and those 8 precepts are guiding principles for how to live your life. She says these precepts are rules of the road for living, guideposts for indicating when we're on or off our spiritual path. This is sort of a version in her book that was written by Thich Nhat Hanh, and I'm going to read you just the 4th precept. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful speech and the inability to listen to others, I vow to cultivate loving speech and deep listening in order to bring joy and happiness to others and relieve others of their suffering. Knowing that words can create happiness or suffering, I vow to learn to speak truthfully with words that inspire self-confidence, joy, and hope. I am determined not to spread news that I do not know to be certain, and not to criticize or condemn things of which I am not sure. I will refrain from uttering words that can cause division or discord, or that can cause the family or community to break. I will make all efforts to reconcile and resolve all conflicts, however small.
Our reading today is from Ephesians chapter 4. It begins on verse 29 and ends in chapter 5, verse 2. Be on your guard against foul talk. Say only what will build others up at that moment. Say only what will give grace to your listeners. Don't grieve the Holy Spirit of God, with whom you were sealed for the day of redemption. Get rid of all bitterness, all rage and anger, all harsh words, slander and malice of every kind. In place of these, be kind to one another, compassionate and mutually forgiving, just as God has forgiven you. Try then to imitate God as beloved children. Walk in love as Christ loved us and offered himself in sacrifice to God for us, a gift of pleasing fragrance. So ends the reading.
Would you pray with me? Gracious and loving presence, may we be aware of this moment, of our presence here. May we let go of all of the other worries and concerns and to-do lists, and be in this place where perhaps we can each grow and learn from one another. Let your wisdom and your guidance be present, and may the words of my mouth and meditations of each of our hearts be filled with your grace and your wisdom. Amen. Our words are infinitely powerful. I'd like to say that what I was going to do with the kids' time, you know, that old phrase, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me, is really a lie. I don't know why we ever had that phrase in the first place. Sticks and stones may hurt us on the outside, but the things that we say hurt us on the inside. and can stay with us for a really long time. It'd be nice if we could just ignore what other people say about us, but the reality is that we're human and we want to be liked and we want to be accepted and respected and thought well of. And those negative comments can cut to the core and stick with us. You can probably, every one of us can probably remember something that was said to us as a child that really might have been a silly comment or, a kid just trying to be mean or whatever, but we still hold on to it somewhere and can bring it back at a moment's notice. Or is it just me? No, it's not just, okay. Because I know I have a few of those and I think, why can't I just let it go? Why does it still sit back there where if I touch it, it's kind of like, oh. I know, 20 of you could say something nice to me about a service on Sunday morning, and the one person that has a negative comment, well, that's the one I hear, and that's the one I take home. And I know better. I know to not to take things so personally. And yet we do. Words are so powerful. And so the book of Ephesians is really a guideline for a new community getting started. What to do, what not to do, how to treat one another, how to love one another, how to be in the world. And this part says, use your words to build others up. Use them to help them feel good about themselves. Don't use words that are negative, bitter, angry, hateful, unforgiving words. The author says, that grieves the Holy Spirit. That makes the spirit that's within you hurt, the spirit that's around you hurt. Because what we do to others, we do to ourselves. We do to the divine. And so use our words well. And this isn't just a Christian concept. We have the Buddhist precept, that's the precept of right speech. Saying things that are kind, that bring joy, that help to alleviate another person's suffering. And the Buddha said that when we act with right speech and with right action, it helps us to evolve spiritually. These are not just nice things to do. It helps us to evolve spiritually, and Buddha said it helps us to be happy while we evolve at the same time. So, for a moment, I want you to think about someone in your life, and hopefully there have been many someones, but pick one someone who has built you up, made a lasting impression on you because they made you feel good about yourself. You all got that someone? Thinking about that someone? Sure. So how did they do it? What are the things that they did to help you feel good about yourself?
Words. They said, you are this, you are that.
But not like you are ugly, you are stupid. They said things like,
you're nice, or you're good at this, or that's your forte. Or
so they complimented you. Okay.
gave you a hug.
Gave you a hug. They encouraged you. What else? What do we do to help build others up? Jerry?
Well, they listen to you with respect
Yes.
and interest.
Someone who listens to you with respect and interest, as if what you have to say matters a great deal. Which they don't judge you, okay? Compliments. They give you their attention, Mike?
Positive reinforcement.
Positive reinforcement.
They stand with you, go through it with you as well.
They'll walk through the tough times with you. Be your support. Help you to have courage. They believe in you. Perhaps they give you opportunities and then support you in being successful at those opportunities. Maybe they offer you challenges in your life and then help you to achieve well in those challenges. They believe in you when you doubt yourself.
They reframe the negative.
They reframe the negative.
They also can be real. I mean, don't sugarcoat it, if you know what I mean.
They can be real, but they don't sugarcoat it, but they don't do it in a way that's hurtful.
Right.
It's in a way that helps you grow because you know that they believe in you.
Right. Everything is not just rainbows and.
Right? Not just rainbows and butterflies and unicorns.
Right. Darn it.
Crushed.
Darn it. Hey, you're doing a great job.
Now I'm not going to trust anything you ever say. So, when my son Sam was in 8th grade, I did that parent-teacher conference with him. And she happened to be his English teacher, and she said that every year she gives an assignment to the students and has them write a paragraph about the one person who has made them feel good about themselves. And she said, occasionally she gets a student or two who names another student in the class who made them feel good about themselves. That semester, 9 kids had named Sam as the one who had made them feel good about themselves. Now, don't we all want to be that person? And yet, why is it that sometimes it's so hard to be that person? Why is it so hard sometimes to build other people up? Are we more apt? What's our first inclination? Is our first inclination to criticize or to compliment? A lot of times it's to criticize. Is it to be positive or to be negative? Are we a glass half full or a glass half empty? How many times have we thought something good about someone else and not said it? Why is that?
Facebook,
Facebook?
Twitter.
It is easy to be nastier when you're at arm's length when we've got our social media. Unfortunately, there's too much of that going on. You know, there's that wonderful phrase, if you have nothing nice to say about somebody else, don't say anything. But there's an equally, if not more important, more powerful phrase that I've heard, which is that if you have something nice to say it. If you have something nice to say it. Be the encourager. Be the one who compliments. Be the one who lifts somebody up, builds somebody else up. Be the one who is kind and forgiving and generous. Be that person. I have tried more and more to be that person. But I know that I have a long way to go. And I'm going to blame my father. No, it's really not fair. I only have myself to blame. But I do think it stems back to my childhood. Because I was brought up in a household where I always waited for the other shoe to fall when a compliment was given. My father would compliment me, but, did you get this, Mike? But. And there was always a but. Oh, you did really well, but you really weren't good enough. And so there's this insecurity that builds even over what we think we did well. And it's that insecurity that gets tapped and I think holds me back from sometimes telling other people how good I think they are. Because I'm not even sure about how good I am. You know, when you've got a good manager at a job, a good manager can mentor an employee and help them to achieve and help them to be good at their job. But they can only do that because a good manager has confidence and self-esteem and won't be threatened if their employee does well. You know, when I had student pastors, I gave them opportunities to do whatever they felt they needed to do, including preaching often. And I gave them the resources to achieve. But I was not threatened when they did well. I came to learn that if they did well, it only reflected good on me. Which sounds a little selfish, but there's the truth. But I also wanted them to go out and succeed. If they did poorly, it also reflected on me. If they went out to the next church, didn't know anything, that reflects on me. And so to build them up, but you need that self-confidence to build others up. And so maybe that's where some of us are lacking just a little bit. Simon T. Bailey is a writer, a speaker, a teacher. He was the first African-American sales director at Disney. And he founded the Brilliance Institute in 2010. And I was listening to a video that he did, and he said that in one study, so they had a bunch of 4-year-olds, and all the 4-year-olds achieved brilliantly, genius level performance. When those same group of 4-year-olds got to be in their lower 20s, only 10% of them performed at a brilliance or genius level. And when they got to their early 30s, only 2% of them performed at a brilliance or genius level. And the question was, well, where did it go? If they were brilliant at 4, what happened to it? And the answer that he gave was that it was buried by a society in which we say, color in the lines, sit down, give that back, you can't do that. By the time kids are 17 years old, they have heard the word no 150,000 times. They have heard the word yes only 5,000 times. And when we are continually told, you can't do that, continually told where you can't go and who you can't be, neurologically, it forms a pathway in our brains that causes us to shut down. So it's not who we think we are that causes us to hold back, it's who we think we aren't. If we look at education and teachers, we can get a really clear example, I think, of what it means to build someone else up and what happens when we do. I think we've all heard about high expectation teachers versus low expectation teachers. And if teachers have higher expectations, their students will perform at a higher level. Those higher expectation teachers are believing that their, not just certain individuals, but their classes can all progress at a faster than normal rate, that they can all achieve higher than they're achieving. Whereas the low expectation teachers don't believe there's going to be a change, that they'll all progress on average or normally. And statistically, that's exactly what happens. It really has very little to do with the actual ability of the student, is what these studies say, and more to do with the expectations of the teachers. The high expectation teachers not only believe that the kids can achieve better, but they have different attitudes and different practices than low expectation teachers. What's interesting, really interesting, is that the students know what their teachers' expectations are of them. That studies show that kids can identify very subtle attitude differences between their teachers. And their high expectation teachers have used different words, different tones, and different nonverbal cues. Low expectation, kids of low expectation teachers look at themselves much more negatively. and students of high expectation teachers will have a positive regard for themselves, will have a much more positive attitude about their learning and their education, even when they're achieving averagely. And that positive attitude toward themselves will eventually go a long way in their ability to achieve altogether. It's building another up. Historically, the church hasn't been so great about this. Historically, the church has been really good at telling people that they're sinners. Augustine came up with this wonderful concept of original sin in the 400s, and the church globbed onto it and said, that's the problem. Everybody's miserable from birth on. And it requires this crazy sacrifice by a beautiful person just to make that right. But oh, by the way, you're all still sinners who have to be baptized by the 8th day to make that go away. You probably shouldn't get me started, because there's some theologies that really, I just don't get. What has that done for humanity to tell people that they're sinners? If we live up to the highest expectations that people have for us, what have we just created? Nothing good. What if the church had said from the beginning, you are all an original blessing. Your very life here is a blessing to this world. You are beautiful and you are unique, and you have the ability to make this world a better place. In fact, it's your purpose, it's your meaning in life here to make this world a better place. You were born good. The core of you is good. What if we told everybody that? Churches would be full, you think?
Wouldn't you want to go to a service every week that says, you know, you're wonderful, you're great, you're awesome, you walk out of here, yeah.
You would hope people would want to go to a service where they felt great and awesome.
Instead of saying, you sinned because you did this.
But you know what? I think the opposite is true, Robin.
I know.
I think it's been set up so that the church has said you are miserable, rotten. The only way you can be better is if you come to church and believe what I tell you and do what I tell you, because that's the only way you're going to get to heaven. Otherwise, you're all sinners.
Sanctuary.
Sanctuary, yeah. So, but I do believe.
I went to a church service a couple of weeks ago, and there was so much negativity. It's like I walked out and went on.
But you know what?
Glad I don't have to do this.
So for those of you who didn't, she said she went to a church service a couple weeks ago and there was so much negativity. She said she's glad she doesn't have to do that on a regular basis. But you know what? Some people don't know different. They don't know that there's anything else out there. And that's sad too. Because probably the majority of the church services they went to, there's been a confession, there's been language that suggests that they were saved from their sinfulness. So the church has contributed to all of this. And yet we have this beautiful passage in Ephesians that says, use your words to build others up. And it's not just about being nice. That's a wonderful thing, but it's because it's a spiritual practice. It helps us to grow spiritually because we connect at a place that's deeper than surface and judgments. We connect at a place where we want to understand, and we want to forgive, and we want to grow. And so we do it for our own spiritual evolution. So your homework, at least for today, if you can do it today, if you can do it longer than today, that's great. If you have something nice to say, say it. Amen.